Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Acca tutor, Mr. Jerem Chimkulu. I welcome you all to this lecture where we'll be presenting reporting management information, which is a topical area within the Acca syllabus uh, for uh, papers MA1, MA2, and management accounting. Right. So in this video, I'm going to tackle on the tenets with regards to the presentation of tables, pie charts, graphs, and scatter plots within our uh, business report. All right. So without wasting much of your time, ladies and gentlemen, let us just get straight to the business of the day. As you can see here, there is actually much need for you to present uh, your information in a diagrammatic way. This would reduce your effort as well as enhance the understandability of your report. So you just have to take note that whenever you are presenting tables, charts, or graphs, you should give each diagram or a chart a concise and meaningful title. All right, there should be some title which is a bit meaningful. You should cite the source of the data where relevant. This is actually important to ensure the dependability and to convince the users that your information is backed with some solid evidence. So you need to cite the source. All right, how do you cite? You just have to indicate where you have taken that table from. If it is from government statistics and for which year, just have to indicate on the report so that managers would find your report reliable and meaningful. All right, you should label clearly all the elements on the graph, either on the diagram itself or in a separate key or in some text they call it a legend. Okay, there should be some key to a particular graph or or chart. All right, so do not forget about putting the key. However, you also need to take note that this the issue of putting keys is only relevant where we have got different data series. If you are presenting only information about sales in a particular year and so forth, there's actually no need for you to give us a key or a legend because we really know that you are only presenting information about sales. But when you are now presenting information about sales and cost, then you will need now to have a key or a legend so that the users will not struggle to determine what you were presenting. Then you need to keep textual elements simple. I mean short or brief. All right. These include the labels, the explanatory notes to your graph. They should not cloud the graph or overwhelm the graph itself. All right, so such that there is now confusion. We need to see what you have presented. We need to see the graph, not those elaborative notes. Okay, then uh, you have to keep the presentation as simple as possible. All right, you need to cut down unnecessary lines and elements to avoid overcrowding, clutter, and confusion. Remember, information should be precise and should not be overwhelming to the user. Then make the diagram large enough so that it is easy to read. That's those are just the pointers, ladies and gentlemen, we need to observe whenever we are presenting the charts, graphs, or tables. But specifically, uh, let us talk of the tables first. Now, a table is two-dimensional in its crafting, right? Two-dimensional, so it can only show two variables. For example, a sales chart for a particular year might have rows for products, all right? As you can see, these are the rows, all right? These are the rows, okay, for the products we are talking about, and columns for each month of the year, and these are the columns, all right? So forth, as you can see, these are the columns, all right? But as indicated earlier on, there should be certain things you have to observe whenever you're presenting your table, okay, so that the users would not struggle to determine what is going on. Okay, for example, as you can see, there should be a clearly labeled title, a clearly presented title, and that's the title, the sales figures for a particular year, and then all the columns should also be clearly labeled. So the columns have been labeled. You can see January, February, March, April, May, June. Those are the columns. All right. Where appropriate, there should be clear subtitles and a right-hand total column for comparison. All right. So you can see there is this right-hand column where you can see these are the totals, right, which is required. Okay. We need also to have a total figure is often advisable at the bottom of each column of the figures for comparison. So we can also have total figures in the bottom here for each column, right? It's actually required. But one thing I want you to see is that if we add up these columns, all right, these columns should give us a certain figure which is equal to that of the rows. So this figure is put inside here. All right, that's one thing you have to observe with tables. All right, but tables can also be used to identify to solve problems. Okay, you can use your table to solve problems, especially when the information given is a bit tricky, or you want it to be simplified. Okay, you want to simplify the facts which have been given to you. Then you can use a table to attack a question. For example, Temba ran a cake shop for 5 consecutive days. On the first day, he made $5, and every day after that, he made $2 more than the previous day. How much money did Temba make in all after 5 days? So the watchword there, the keyword is in all. That's the key term we have to be aware of. So we can make a table to simplify this. We are told that these sales took place for 5 days. Okay, so you can say, can have this is our table. All right, so that's for 5. Sorry. All right, we're having all right, that's day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and day 5. So on the first day, Temba made $5. Then on the second day, he made $2 more. So we are talking of a $5, $2 more that is to be made. Okay, so plus 5 plus 2, we have our 7. All right, and then $2 more. That means on the next day there was $9. All right, and then on the fourth day there was $11. Then on the fifth day there was $13. All right, so the question is saying how much money did Timber made in total, all right, for the 5 days. So it means that we have to add up the $5 plus 7 plus 9 plus, so we are having these 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. Okay, if you practice your mathematics, you can see that you can combine these figures to simplify your task. Like for example, 9 and 11, that gives you 20. 7 and 13, that gives you 20 again. So 20 plus 20 plus 5, that's a 45. So you can see our answer has actually been simplified first by having a table, and then you work out your mathematics. Now let's go to a bit more interesting part where we have to know or to learn about graphs. All right, so we have got what are called column, bar, and line charts. Okay, we are going to start with those related to single data sets. All right, so in each of the following charts, a single series of data is represented on the graph. Often the data being presented in this type of the chart spans a number of time periods such as years, quarters, or months, but these types of charts can also be used to represent data from one time period, but for example, from different regions or perhaps for different output levels. All right, so we have information which could relate to a particular period, for example, a quarter of the year or years, all right, over a period of time, let's say 5 years and so forth. All right, but the chart could also be used to represent information about particular products, about particular regions, particular branches, and so forth of a company. All right, but one thing you have to know is that when drawing a chart, there should be some axis. All right, we have got one axis which represents the independent variable and another which represents the dependent. All right, so an independent variable is a variable that that is not impacted. Okay, that its existence is not dependent on some other variable. All right, then we have got a dependent variable which whose behavior is dependent upon the behavior of the independent variable. All right, so it is actually stimulated by the independent variable. When there is a change in the independent variable, the dependent variable is likely to have some changes. All right, so usually the independent variable is denoted, or is presented on the x-axis, whereas the dependent is presented on the y-axis. As you can see, these are simple column chart. All right, the only difference is that this one is two-dimensional. Okay, this one is two-dimensional, and while this one is three-dimensional. Okay, so that's one of the differences. You could also note that this one is for the total sales over the 5-year period, whereas this one is for a particular division, okay, for the year 2013. All right. So in the exam, you actually have to be a bit faster so that you see this. All right. We can see here there is a legend, but like I told you, in some discursive questions, you need to point out that the legend or the key is not relevant where we are having a single data set or a one type of data series. So in this case, we are talking of cells. So there is no need for us to have a key for cells. All right, the title itself is sufficient. All right, now as you can see, these columns, they are representing the total sales in each particular year. For example, for 2009, the total sales were around this, about 490,000. Okay, because that's where the level is of that column. For 2010, they were around this level. All right, is represented by this tip of that column. All right, so that's how you are going to see. So you can see that from the point of interpretation, you can see that these sales have been growing steadily from 2009 to 2012 up to 2018. They've been actually growing up, although in 2012 the growth was not that significant. All right, but in general, you can see that there is an upward growth. There's an upward trend in the growth of sales over the 5-year period. All right, but on chart number 2 here, you can see that the South Division is actually commanding in terms of sales in the year 2018, followed by the North Division and the Eastern one. But as you can see, the Western Division is not performing very well. All right, but because we do not have a particular standard to actually gauge the company's expected sales in a particular year, we can't outright say the Western Division should be closed, because we do not have the company's budget in terms of sales budget, right, for comparison purposes. All right, now there is a bar chart. The column and bar chart, they're usually interchangeable. Okay, the terms are usually interchangeable, which means in some textbooks they simply show the column chart as a bar chart. All right, so do not actually be confused there. However, for the purpose of this presentation, we have considered the bar chart as this one, as you can see here, where we have got bars in the form of rows. Okay, they are presented horizontally. All right, so that's a simple bar chart. However, its uses are just the same as we have indicated there. For example, for the year 2018, the total sales were around this level. All right, so they were somewhere there. All right, so that's how you can, and you can also see that there has been some growth in sales as indicated there, where you can see that from 2009, this level, they reached that level. Okay, so they were increasing, these sales were increasing. All right, and they were increasing. All right, although in 2012 you can see there wasn't much happening in terms of the sales growth. All right, because in most exams, especially the Acca exams, you're not actually going to be required to draw a graph in the exam, especially for these foundational courses. So you need not to know much about how to draw these graphs, but you should be able to interpret them. All right, you should be able to interpret for the purposes of this exam. Now we've got what is called a line graph. All right, this is usually, essentially useful in presenting information for trend analysis. All right, so the graphs give an indication of moving from one period to the next as the points are connected by the line. All right, so the chart behavior gives a good sense of change and can help to identify a particular trend. Okay, so they help the reader to identify the trend or the behavior over time of sales in a linear way. All right, so you can see here that in 2009 we had sales which were at this level, but we can easily see that they arose to that level and continue to rise to that. And in 2012, like I said, there wasn't much growth, and the growth was a bit slow, okay, or low. And then there was a significant upward shift in 2013. This is also presented in this graph as well. All right, but as you can see, the distance here is a bit higher than the distance here, but the information is just the same. The reason is due to scaling. In the first graph here, you can see that, in the left side graph, you can see that the graph, the vertical axis was scaled from 0. Okay, scaled from 0, whereas in this other graph, the right side graph, you can see that the graph the axis was started from a number which was a bit lower than the level of the first sales. The level of 2009 sales, which was 450,000. All right. So that's an issue of scaling. All right. So you just have to be conversant with how the graphs can be presented. You can start from a number which is a little bit lower, because there is no purpose of presenting. All right. You might end up confusing users with the first graph, to who might think that in 2009 there was actually a strong upward shift of sales to that level. All right, when that was actually not the case. All right, the graph is only presenting the information of sales of 2009. Of each year, as you can see there. Okay, of course, there is this information related to the trend, where we can see that there was actually a significant increase in sales between 2009 and 2011, and then there was some fall, rather it is some the sales were not increasing anymore in 2012. Okay, they were like maintaining some, that particular level, that 2011 level. But after 2012, you can see that there was some significant rise in the sales. Now let's talk of the multiple dataset environment. Okay, where we are still using the same bar and column charts, but in this case we are having multiple datasets, where we are having more than 2 variables. All right, so in this case, in our first table there, we have got the sales information, total cost, and the years. All right, so we are almost having about 3 datasets. All right, now we need to know how to interpret this type of a graph. All right, so as can be shown there, you can see that each year we are having 2 column charts. 2 bars or 2 columns. All right, we are having 2 columns for each year, which represents the information for sales as given by the legend here. There's the legend for sales and legend for cost. Like I said, the legend is only relevant when we have got multiple datasets or more than one dataset. So in this case, each year has got the information for the sales and cost, sales and cost, sales and cost. So that's a multiple column chart, right? Multiple column chart. So in terms of interpretation, you can see that there has been some a positive relationship in terms of sales and cost, all right, where the increase in sales was also supported by the increase in cost in all the years. All right. However, you can easily see that in terms of the increase in this or in the in terms of the movement of sales and cost, you can notice that in 2012, it seems the costs were increasing at a more pace than the rate at which the sales were increasing. All right, the sales did not increase much from 2011 to 2012. They did not increase, but when it comes to cost, it seems the costs have increased significantly in 2012. So you can also mention that although the sales were not increasing exponentially in 2012, their costs were exponentially increasing. All right, or there was a significant increase in cost, against a rather constant uh, activity in terms of sales. All right, that's one observation you can mention there. However, in 2013, the cost did not increase that much. All right, there wasn't actually a significant rise in cost. Right, although we noted a significant rise in sales. Okay, then as a general observation again, you can also see that uh, the sales and the cost, they are, as I've already indicated, they are having some positive relationship, where we see that the increase in sale was supported by increase in cost. Okay, this information can also be presented in the form of a trend line. All right, can also be presented in the form of trend line, as you can see there, where we have got these total sales here and the total sales, the total cost there. All right, while the graph was assisting us to know this particular information in a graphical way, or in terms of columns. All right, uh, and the relevant amounts, we could see the relevant amounts on this from this axis. All right, but we can also see that in terms of analyzing the movement themselves, you can see that the line graph was actually, it's actually presenting this information in a more clearer way. All right, again, we can see that in 2012 the sales were not increasing that much, but the costs were increasing, as you can see from this movement. Okay, in the exam you might be asked to actually understand how much were the sales for, let's say, 2012. All right, you can see that this is year 2011, so you just have to go straight up to the point where it touches the trend line. All right, and when you reach that point, you then have to go to the axis that shows the sales amount, and you can determine that the sales were at this level. All right, sometimes the examiner might just say, well, how much profit did uh, the company make in 2010? All right, you know that profit is equal to sales minus cost. All right, so you just have to know the figure for this particular. This is the sales for 2010. The sales are these ones, and you go to this and you get the amount for the sales. Let's say it's 570. Okay, minus the cost at that level is 480, and you should get your 80 as your answer. All right, that's how you need to know, because you just have to know how to lead yourself. All right, the graphs are going to come this way, but you mustn't panic. All right, let's move. That's the information by division. The cells, the same multiple column graph could be used to present information per division. All right, each year, per division in each particular year. For example, as you can see here, in 2009, the divisions had these performance levels. So we've got the North Division as indicated by the blue chart. This is the North Division, and according to the legend, this is the legend which should lead you, right? The South Division, this one was having this level of sales. The North Division was having this level, and then the Eastern Division was having this level, and this is the Eastern Division, and the Western Division was having this level. And you can see also that the Western Division is actually performing poorly. All right, and you can also see by assessing this chart, or by reviewing or just looking at the chart, you can also see that the Northern Division has been constant in terms of performance. This is the Northern Division. It has been constant in its performance, while the Southern Division is sustaining a continuous growth. You can see from in 2009 it was at this level, in 2010 that level, in 2011 that, and it is continuing to grow. So for managerial purposes, they can see that it is actually worthwhile to continue investing in this southern division. All right. Similarly, we can see also the Eastern was following suit. All right, was following suit, but in 2012 there was been some sluggish in terms of its sales potential. All right, but in 2013 it seems it was finding its path again. It was finding its path to growth. Then there is this disappointing division, the Western Division. You can see that in 2009 it was at this high, then in 2010 it was falling, and continuing to fall. So we also have to see, or to alert the managers so that they make necessary decisions. All right, that's the idea, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now you also have to understand that the way we have presented the information in the multiple uh, in the column chart where there is multiple data, we can also do the same in the bar chart with multiple data. We can just do the same. All right, it's an issue of presenting these columns in a horizontal way, and you are done. All right, so that's it. Now let's talk of component or stacked column chart. Component or stacked column chart. A component column or bar chart, also referred to as a stacked chart. Highlight. So this is another name for a component. All right. Stacked chart highlights not only an overall total value for multiple time periods or product or location, but also provides an analysis of the components of that total. The total figure is represented by the height of the column. All right, the height of the column represents the total, or the length of the bar. All right, in the case of a bar chart, and the column or bar is divided into the various components of the total, with each component being identified by the different colors, patterns, or shading. All right, so you can see, you now have the idea that when we are talking of a column, we are having a component or stacked column chart. We're having this one. Let's say this one is for January, right? January, but this was for buns, apples, and ginger. Okay, these are the products which this guy is selling buns, selling apples, selling ginger. Okay, so in January, these were it was the information, and then in February we are having this column here where we have got buns. They're now small. Then we've got apples, and then we've got ginger. So this should actually speak something to managers to see if they can plan if they can play their cards well. When it comes to February, they have to know that apples are actually on high demand than they are when it is January. So that's something like that we need to know. So this is actually the visual presentation of a component or stacked column chart using the information for our divisions. You can see that this is how the divisions have been performing, right? The total sales for 2009 is actually at this point. Okay, that's where you get the total sales for all the divisions 2009. All right, but for each division you can see by its height. Okay, not actually its height but its size from uh, one point to another. All right, because it doesn't mean that for the south department, I mean for the south division, its cells were this level. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, if it was so, then we were all along misrepresenting the western division, which we said this purple one was actually not performing. This is the western division performance. So it doesn't mean that the performance of the western division was at this level. No, it doesn't mean. What it means is the performance of the western was between this point. Okay, was between this point and that point. Okay, that's the performance of the western division. The performance of the eastern division, given this graph in 2009, is depicted by this distance. All right, so this is the eastern division. And then the performance of the southern division is also represented by this distance. All right, are we together, ladies and gentlemen? If you add up those distances, they should give you a total which is equivalent to this level. Okay, so no one should be confused. Nobody should be confused. So let us try to have this example. All right, so that we know. All right, at this point, before we go to the example, the same information presented in the chart above can also be presented in the form of a stacked bar chart. Okay. So we now know, all right, we now know, ladies and gentlemen, what we mean. All right, it's an issue of just making those columns into rows, okay, as graphical as possible. All right, in a graphical way. All right, so we are having this information, ladies and gentlemen. The following table relates to Popoma. Oh man, there's this phone that is calling. Mama! My right! My right! Oh, Garaina Gogo. Okay, the following table relates to Mpopoma High School students studying commercial subjects. There is year of study, number of boys, number of girls, and the total. Right? Required, draw a component column chart for the data provided. As I've already indicated, you are not required to draw any of these graphs in the exam, but you just have to know how to interpret them. However, for you to be able to interpret them, you should at least know how to prepare them. Alright, so that's the trick. That is why I'm showing you how you can prepare these graphs. Then you are also required to draw a percentage component column chart for that data. Alright, so this is the information, ladies and gentlemen. You just have to come here and start your drawing. Alright, we know from the definition that the total the total of the items, all right, the total of the variables quantity, or the size of the variable is represented by the height of the column. So if we are talking of the number of students in a particular year, then the total is actually the height of the graph, the height of that column, right? And for the second year, the height is 250, and third height is 100, and fourth 80. So we just have to come. We now know our But wait a minute, wait a minute. How do we know that this is the height of the column? All right. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, you need to identify what is a dependent variable and an independent variable. All right. So we know that the number of boys, okay, the number of boys and girls is actually dependent on whether uh, it is a first year, a second year, or a third year. Because a year is not actually going to be affected by the number of boys. All right. So the number of years in a particular school the number of students in a particular school is actually dependent on the levels of their study. All right. The study of the level, or the year of the level, the year of the study. Yes. So this information is actually the x-axis. X-axis. All right. That's an independent information. Those are variables which are independent. So the year of study is actually an independent variable, but the number of students in a particular year is actually dependent on that year. So this is our y variable, right? The y axis. This is dependent. It is dependent, and this one is independent. Okay. Once we have established that, then we can safely say, let us draw. So this is our y-axis, okay, and this is our x-axis, okay. So the x-axis shows the number of, the y-axis shows the number of students, and this is the year of study. All right, we have got year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. All right, get a ring upon it. All right, so we have this information. All right, we've drawn our chart there, and for the number of students, our y-axis could actually be guided by the largest total there, that is 300. So we can safely say this is, let's say, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350. Okay, then it's now easier now. But okay, this is year of study. All right, so we can safely draw this by using a straight line, a ruler. Okay, this is 300. We go down. All right, that's our first year. All right, we know that in the first year the total is 300, but we know also that boys were 250 in that year, so the 250 level is this one. So this is the level of boys, okay, and the remainder 50 is for the girls. All right, we go. For you not to confuse yourself, you can just start by putting your legend. All right, girls, the legend. I don't know what's going on with my pen. Okay, and then boys. Plus for boys. So this is the key. All right, and then we have got in 2000. In the second year we've got 220 boys and 30 girls. So that gives us 250. So reach the 250 level and go down. All right. So 220 girls, 220 boys. All right. Was 220 somewhere here. All right. All right. So this is the boys. These are the boys and girls. All right. Third year now, without wasting much of your time. Third year, we have got a total of 180 boys. So 80 boys. So 80 somewhere here. The girls. Then we do for the last year. For the fourth year. That's the fourth year total is 80 when we have got 70 boys. So 80 somewhere here. 70 boys. That's the graphical representation. All right. Now we've done the first part of the question. All right. What about the percentage component column chart? Okay. For the percentage column chart, percentage component column chart. Okay, percentage component column chart. We just have the same axis. All right, just have the same axis. Okay, remember we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 year of study. Okay, and then here we now have percentage of students. Checking courses. All right, percentage of students studying. All right, obvious students will be studying. So that's percentage of students. All right, so this is what we are going to do, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we have to convert our table a bit to modify it with a column for percentages. Okay, percentage. All right. So the percentages, we have got the boys and the girls. So the percentage for boys, all right, the percentage for boys is 250 over 300 because we know the total is 300. Okay, so for boys, we say the percentage for boys, that's 250. In first year, that's 250 over 300 multiplied by 100, and we get 83.33. So that's 83.33%. Okay, and for girls, obviously that's the difference from 100. Remember, the total number in terms of percentage is 100%. Okay, so 83.33 minus 100, we have got 16.67%. All right, which gives us 100%. Then for in year 2, I mean second year, there's 220 boys and 30 girls, so that's 250. So that's 220 over 250 applied by 100%, and we should get 220 over 250. We should get 88%. Obviously, the balance is 12%. And then in third year, we've got 80 and 20, that is 100. So 80 over 100, that's 80%. Obviously, there is 20% balance. And then in the fourth year, we've got 70 and 10, that is 80. So 70 over 80, that's not 70%. 70 over 80, that's 87.5% versus 12.5%. Alright, so those are the figures, ladies and gentlemen, we have to use for the purpose of our computation. So we are going to use those figures in our table, in our graph. But there is one thing I want you, ladies and gentlemen, to see. I said the total is 100%. So obviously we are going to arrive at 100. These are percentages, remember. Sorry. These are percentages. We are talking of percentages, and I don't want you guys to fail. So here we are talking of 80%, 50%, 40%, 20%, and 0. Okay, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Alright, don't worry about my scaling. I'm just trying to draw to rest with time. Alright, so obviously you can just do much of the work without worrying about the figures. This is a straight line, gentlemen. Don't mind my poor drawing. One of my fingers is giving me trouble. They are of the same height. In a percentage component chart, these columns are of the same height. Why is it so? Because there is the same total. All percentages add up to 100%. Are we together? All percentages add up to 100%. So in terms of height of the columns, just the same. All right, height of the columns just the same, or height of the bar, the length of the bars just the same in a percentage column chart or percentage bar chart. Okay, percentage component column chart and percentage component column, bar chart. So here I left the word component. All right, percentage component column. So in terms of the when you're talking of the percentage chart now, the columns are of the same height, or the bars are of the same length. So what happens is we then have to go back now to the computations which we have made for year 1. We determined that for year 1 there was 83%, 83.3%. Okay, for boys. So we go here and we get our 83 at this level. All right, you can just maintain the same legend. All right, this is for boys, and the remainder is for girls. All right, in year 2 we determined that it was 88%, 88% versus 12%. So a bit here, right? Okay. In year 3, 8% versus 20%. in year, um, the fourth year, that's 87.5% versus 12.5%. Okay, that's how the information is presented. However, whilst the the this the first chart here, whilst the component column chart here was clear in its regard, it was only giving us absolute values, okay, or it was explaining the number of students in absolute terms. All right, it is of, I mean, of less value actually, because it doesn't tell us what is going on. All right, fine, we can simply see it from a distance. However, when we go deeper with a percentage component column chart, we get what is called relative values. Okay, so the relative values are actually helpful because we know for planning purposes that uh, it has been, I mean, the ratio of boys and girls has been actually been constant. All right, the ratio of the boys to girls has been constant all along. As you can see, even from this these computations, you can see that it was about 80 versus 20, somewhere there. All right. So if you look at the numbers, they can actually deceive. All right, the numbers can deceive in your planning. All right. So whatever policy that can actually this school can should adopt should actually be led based on the ratio or the proportion. All right. So you can see that fine, the numbers are okay, but we also need to have percentages which which give us more insight. All right. Regardless of the numbers, we could see that in terms of proportion, the school has been maintaining that. All right. So whether we have got so much students within our enrollment, by the end of the day, we are still going to have the same proportion of students participating in whatever exam that is going to be presented with regards to commercials. All right, let us proceed. Now we've got what are called pie charts. Right, a pie chart also shows the breakdown of the components of a total figure, but each pie chart can only show the components of a total for one period or one product at a time. All right, so I mean, at each presentation, we can only have got one product being spoken about within a pie chart or a one total fig, all right, of a product or a location. That's what a pie chart can do. It cannot tell us about two different products in the same pie chart, right? If we are talking of the total of a particular product, we can only obtain for one product and not for two products within the pie chart. All right, we will illustrate what that means so that we go forward. Like I have said, you are not going to be required to draw a pie chart in the exam, but you need to interpret what the pie chart is doing, or you need also to determine certain figures with regards to pie charts. All right. Um, to show multiple periods requires multiple pie charts. All right. So you can't have one pie chart to show multiple periods. Pie chart can only show for a particular period. All right. So if you want for multiple periods, then you need to have uh, multiple pie charts. Okay. In preparing a pie chart, the charting software normally does the work for you in terms of computing the percentages of each component of the total pie chart. All right. So we have got this as our pie chart for the information we have been looking at so far. All right, but um, all right, as we have always indicated that the Western division was problematic. You can also see on the pie chart that it is showing a very low percentage performance in terms of sales. We can also see that the North division was the largest in terms of sales. And then we have the Southern that was trailing behind the North, then the East behind the South, and then finally our Western dog. Okay, is very problematic. Now let us do this example to see what we have to expect on the exam day. You are given the following data for O-level students in Bulawayo. Where is Bulawayo, by the way? Wow, it is in Zimbabwe. Okay, that's a peaceful. It is actually near the uh, popular tourist attraction city called Victoria Falls. You guys just have to come there one day and see this beautiful city and the wonderful natural talent at the Victoria Falls. All right, we have got our natural heritage there. You can come there and get entertained. All right, without wasting much of your time, let us continue. We have this table, ladies and gentlemen, uh, for O-level students, and we have got their favorite subject as well as the frequency. Excuse me. Now, given this information, if the subjects are displayed on a pie chart, how many degrees would English represent? This is the type of question you are going to meet on that fateful day. So you need not to panic. You just have to breathe and relax. All right. So we have got science, physical education, maths, English, and history. So you need to add these frequencies and you must get a total of 30. That's 6 plus 4, 10 plus 9, 19, 26, 30. All right. So once you get this, we know a pie is a circle. A pie is a circle. All right. And a circle has got how many degrees? A circle has got a total of 360 degrees. Okay. That's what we know. That's what we know so far. All right. A pie is a circle. That's the first thing. A pie is a circle. All right. But a circle has got a total of how many degrees? 360. So we are done. We are done. So we just have to apportion English now. So English has got 7 out of 30. Okay. So in degree terms, English in degree terms should be 7 over 30 multiplied by 360 degrees. And we should get our answer. That's 7 over 30. Excuse me. Multiplied by 360. And we get 84. 84 degrees. We are done. We are done. Okay. In some examinations, maybe you are doing mathematics and you have been having the privilege of watching this video and you feel like, hey man, why did you tell us how we are going to compute these using our mathematical tools? Okay, if you're using manual mathematical tools, okay, you just have to draw a circle using your canvas, right? We draw that one. Is that a canvas? Yes, that's the thing we draw. We use canvas. Okay, all right. You draw your perfect circle, And then after you do that, what then do you have to do? Um, no, you don't do that. Yes, you don't do that. I remember. I remember. Okay, if you're a mathematician, a mathematical student, you just have to draw a line like this. All right. Now, when you draw something like that, you then have to say, fine. Um, you put your compass here. So we are just doing the same thing. Sorry. All right. You put your compass here. I mean the needle of your compass here. All right. And then you just uh, stretch your pencil on the canvas. I mean, to make sure that you draw a big circle, all right, with but of that of the same radius with this line which we have drawn. So suppose it reaches here, so you just continue with the circle. Hey, this is a circle. Oh man, hey man, let us be serious. My finger is disappointing. Okay, so you're drawing, you're drawing. Okay, this is a circle, ladies and gentlemen. Then you put what is called a protractor on this line. Okay, this is a straight line, ladies and gentlemen. It's a straight line. All right. Then you have already computed that your pi, or okay, let us just finish everything. We now know that using our formula, this is 84 degrees, right? And for history is just 4 over 30 multiplied by 360, which should give us something like, hey, it should give us something like 4 over 30 multiplied by 360, 48 degrees. And then for math, that's 9 over 30 multiplied by 360, 9 over 30 multiplied by 360, that's 108. And then 4 over 30, we did this one, that's 48, same as history. And then for science, 6 over 30 multiplied by 360, that's 6 over 30 multiplied by 360, 72. Okay, if we add these degrees, they should come up to 360. They should come up to 360. Okay, to 360. Let us try. Let us try 72 plus 48 plus 108 plus 84 plus 48. That's 360. So we are done. So now you're holding your protractor. Okay, protractor. So you want to find the first pi. Okay, let's start with sine. Sine 72 degrees, 2 degrees, which is somewhere here. Okay, that's sine 72 degrees. You go to I'm just, I'm not having the protractor, so you guys don't worry about, hey man, 72 degrees, not like that. Okay, you go to physical education, we've got 48. Physical education, 48. These are degrees, not percentages. Hey, watch out. The PE 48 degrees. And then that's math 1 through 8. 1 through 8 is over 90 degrees, so it's almost like this. This is math. Okay. too much. Let me just try to at least make it reasonable. Okay, that's for maths. And then we have to consider for English 84. English 84. And then finally, we talk of history, which is 48%. For history and PE, they are not well represented by the O-level students in Bulawayo. Okay, that's what it means. And then the largest or the highly subscribed subject is mathematics, which is 108%. 108 degrees. And then followed by English. Maybe it's because of the nature of industry. The requirement by industry that at least you should have English and mathematics. So this is why these subjects are highly subscribed. Okay, followed by the science, because of science there is some incentive. The market is too good for science people, for nurses, doctors. So this is why these subjects are actually highly presented. So that's some form of interpretation for the pie chart. All right, I'm sure you have been helped, you guys. So you'll be determining these degrees on your protractor or using your protractor, but you must make sure that you first establish the first pi using the first line. Okay, when you get your 72 degrees, let's say for science 72 degrees, then you underline again to that degree level, and then you put your protractor now on this line which you have determined after putting the protractor the first time. You then put your protractor on that and establish a 48 degrees from that line, and you come to this. You put your protractor here again so that you establish your 108 to this level. You put your protractor at this level so that you establish this other level. Then from that you get your this. That's how you do it, if I'm correct. If I'm not, okay, fine, please give a comment below to say, yeah man, you are teaching our students, our mathematical students, poison, right, so that I improve. The idea will be for me to improve. Let us continue. You are given this information, ladies and gentlemen, of a poultry farm, okay, and these are the number of poultry. The poultry at this particular farm. All right, we have got this for the geese, okay, for the geese and turkeys. All right, so in the pie chart you can see that these are the geese, and we have got the turkeys here, the ducks, they are represented by that grayish color, and then the chicken by the golden color, this one. All right, that's how. Then the question is saying, what percentage of the poultry are ducks? What percentage of the poultry are ducks? So what it means is you need to determine the number of poultry, the total number. The total number is given by 72 plus 17 plus 45 plus 36, and you must arrive to 180. Excuse me. I'm not sure if this pen is actually visible. Let me try to use the darker one. Okay, so you've got 72, 17, 45, 36, 2, 9, 14, 20, 9, 10, 15, 18. So 180, that's fine. So we know that ducks are represented by 36. So we say 36 over 180 multiplied by what now? Because the question is saying what percentage, and we know that percentage is 100%. So by 100%, not by a 360 this time. If you say 360 this time, because a pi is a circle and a circle is 360, you are going to fail. All right. you fail. So do not do that. Listen to what the question is saying. This is why we put this second example, so that we want to clear the A. Can somebody say amen? Or just write an amen on the comment section to say you have understood what we are talking about. Because if you do not say an amen, then you can easily forget this principle. Alright, what percentage of poultry are ducks? So we then have to say 36 over 180 multiplied by 100, and what do we get? Oh, this is very interesting, isn't it? That's a 20%. So we can easily see that ducks are actually 20% on that particular farm. Alright, think we are done, and let us talk about this last item before we call it a day. Scatter diagrams or scatter plots or scatter graphs. These ones, please do not be intimidated when you see in your exam it is written scatter plot or scatter graph. It's just one in the same thing, just one and something, just the same. All right. So scatter diagrams can be used to plot two sets of numbers as one, with one number becoming the x coordinate and the second number becoming the y coordinate. All right. So two numbers are actually represented by one. So you can see a dot on the graph that will be representing two numbers. It's not one number. That's two numbers. Excuse me. That will be two numbers, ladies and gentlemen. I do not want to see you guys failing this thing. So, scatter diagram is two numerical axes representing two variables. So, as we have just learned from the previous graphs, the scatter graph again has also two axes. There is a vertical axis and the horizontal axis, and then there's some plotting in between. Alright, so notice that the points on the diagram may be clustered around a particular output level. The scatter diagram points can be used to estimate a trend, and a trend line or line of best fit can be added to the chart to provide useful information for forecasting, as shown in the next slide. So using all the information we have been watching so far, there could be some scatter plot which is represented, and these are the plots. Ladies and gentlemen, these blue ones are plots, okay, representing the total cost. Alright. But there is this particular line that can be estimated in between those plots, which we call the line of best fit. Line of best fit. Okay. In Excel, the Excel can do it for you. In other mathematical software, this can be done. All right. For the purpose of our examination, you just have to know or to interpret what the diagram is showing. Okay, you can see that there is a positive relationship, all right, between the units of output and the cost. All right, units of output, these ones, the units, sorry, they are increasing this way, and the costs are also increasing. So the higher the units, the more the units produced, the higher the cost, as you can see there. All right, so it is actually increasing, like the graph of total variable cost. All right, the graph of total variable cost, the costs are increasing with the level of activity. So that's actually what is happening here. Okay. Now in the exam, you might also be asked to estimate, okay, to estimate certain costs at a certain activity level. All right. So for you to do that, all right, you just have to draw your best fit, your line of best fit, as you can see there. All right, and you then have to say, for example, what is the estimated cost? The total cost for producing, let's say, 85,000 units. So 85 is somewhere here. Okay, that's where we have got our 85,000. So we continue. You extend this line of best fit say up to here. All right, and then you just have to go up to that line where it reaches that. You then have to make it to the vertical axis, a turn to the vertical axis, and you get the total. And this is roughly about 2,200, so 2,290. Okay, somewhere there, roughly, right? Roughly there, okay, or 2.3, somewhere there. That's how you can use this line of best fit estimation. All right. What about an estimation of the fixed cost? What are the fixed costs from the graph there? We know that the fixed cost is where the line of best fit cuts the vertical axis. So the fixed cost should automatically be here, where the line of best fit cuts the uh, the vertical line, the vertical axis. That's how you can do it, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Sure, I have saved a saw there. Now let us try this last example to see if we can come up with a scatter plot. The following data relate to pre-exam study history of Acca Ma1 students in Malawi. And is this Zambia? I don't know. Okay, fine, in Malawi. Alright, draw a scatter graph for the data. So we are given the data, ladies and gentlemen, and let us quickly try to draw this scatter plot. So we come here and say scatter plot, here we are. So this is a vertical axis. Do not worry about the bending. Okay. All right. Like I said, you need to determine which one is the dependent and which one is the independent variable. Okay, so from the information, you can see that these hours of study are actually independent. Whether you are going to uh, study or not, these hours are not dependent on your score. But the score which you are going to get out of an exam is actually dependent on the work you have done. So you can see that the exam score is dependent upon the exam effort, upon the study effort. So the hours of study determine how much you are going to get out of your study. So we can see that the hours of study are independent. These ones are independent. So they are an x-axis variable. And then the exam score, these one are y-axis variable. All right. This one is a dependent variable. Depend on how much study hours did you put on that particular subject. If you joke with your studies, if you do not read, if you do not study hard, you are going to fail. Hey, you are going to fail. So this is actually a serious issue. It's an example, but it's a very, very serious issue. You need to be serious with your studies. So let us continue with the plotting. Okay. So like I said, these are the hours of study. They are for the x-axis, and this is your score. All right. So how much were the what was the highest? How many were the highest hours of study at a particular point? Okay, 10 hours. So the largest hour of study was 10. Largest hours of study were 10. Okay, so you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, then the highest score obtained, we can see that it was 99. So you can say, simply say 10, 20, 30, 40. No. My scale is testing. The gaps are much wider. Okay, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, so for the first one, 2 hours were put and 53 was determined. So 2 hours and there was a 53 here, 2 and 53. You can see this is where you get the 2 points. I mean the point for these two variables. And then we also had 4.5 hours scoring 35. 4.5 from here. But this one scored less. So sometimes if you spend much time on your studies trying to be a warrior without hiring the tutor, you are going to fail. So they obtained how much scores? 35 marks. All right, you can see that's how we are doing the plotting. So do not include those dotted lines. I'm just putting them for you to see why do I put that dot or that symbol on that particular point. It's for you to know that to see that's where the intersection was. Okay, that's where the points were intersecting. All right. So the other point, sorry, the other point was 5 hours 91 score. So 5 hours. You start for 5 hours, you actually get 91, which is up here. Okay. Then if you start 5 hours again, you get 71 down here. And then 72. And then the other one is 6 hours, you get 60. 6 hours, you get 60. Somewhere here. Alright, and then 3 hours, you get 62. 3 hours, that's 62. 3 hours here, here, but this guy end up getting 62. What a magic. Okay, and then that's 10 hours 85. 10 hours 85 up here. Wow. And then 9.5 hours 78. Okay, this one was a bit lower. 78 is a bit up. Okay, and then 8 hours 99. 8 hours 99 is the uppermost. Okay, so this is the information, ladies and gentlemen, which we have determined our scatter. Let me just try to erase these other dots. They might cause confusion among our dearest students. Okay, so that's the scatter plot, ladies and gentlemen, and sometimes it comes. Okay, you may be required to draw the line of best fit, so you can safely draw a line based on the points which I bit linked. Alright, so you can safely draw this line somewhere. Okay, and it is actually showing some positive relationship. The more the more hours you put, the more hours you put, the higher the score. Right? So it's like a variable, a total variable cost graph. Right? You know that graph. So this is what is happening. All right. So the examiner might say, how much hours? Okay, how much score can somebody determine? Can somebody determine if they put in, let's say, 5 hours or 5.3 hours? So you just come to 5 and locate 5.3 somewhere here. Just go up straight to the line, and they are likely to get a mark which is about 60. Okay, that's how you do your estimation. All right. However, we have noticed from the same data that this is not always the case, because there were other guys who spent more time but came up or came out with very low or poor marks. So uh, the scatter plot only give us some idea of what is happening, but not always true. All right, that's the argument. All right, I hope you guys have been helped. All right, so if you feel this video has been very helpful to your studies, please just give a like, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to share the video with your friends. All right, and you can also make some comments which are encouraging, which are informative, so that other students will benefit as well. So together we can make the world a better place. Or if you want more coaching, you can also consider contacting me on WhatsApp +263-774-596-368. I can help you pass your Acca studies as soon as possible. Remember, Acca is actually a global accountancy qualification which you can study in any particular country where you are, be it in Iraq, in the West, in the West Indies, in the United States, everywhere, even in Australia. Please just consider getting in touch with me. I can teach you online, and we can make this world a good place together. Until next time, may the good Lord continue to bless you abundantly forever and ever. Amen.